Hi everyone, it's Tammy, and how have you guys been? I told you I was coming back, but you didn't believe me, did you? How you guys doing? I'll put that out there so I can see everything. Oh, there it is, comments. So, I hope everybody had a good week. I know some of you haven't. Tomorrow's a big day. I don't know, some of you may not think so, but I think it's absolutely terrific. I can't wait. I get everything fixed. But anyway, we're going to fix some stuff today. So I want to talk about the how to write a complaint. I think I have found a way how to help you guys write one. I'm going to try to show you guys how I wrote one, and then everything will begin. Hi, Michelle. Happy New Year to you too, girl. And Paula, yes, it's a big day. I can't even breathe. I can't breathe. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about how to actually write a complaint. And I'm just going to jump into the complaint part of it so that you can see tomorrow is outstanding. Yes, it is, girl. We're just so happy. I'm telling you, my eyes keep crossing. I have to keep doing like this. I can't take it. So anyway, writing a complaint is a royal pain, but if you do it right, the more you do, the more you write complaints and the more you file for complaints, the better you get at it. Okay. Write a good one. I can share. They said easy to read. I write a good one. Good girl. Good. That's what you got to do. What you have to remember is to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. Okay. You got to line up your ducks first. You got to write down what you're accusing them of doing. Okay. You got to write it down. You can't just say they denied faith. How do they deny faith? Okay. You got to spell this stuff out for yourself so that you're clear about the allegations that you're going to write. Okay. So, so you have to be clear. You have to be concise. You have to get straight. You got to go straight for the jugular. Okay. You got to just bring it out there. So I'm going to show you one that I wrote. Okay. And if you guys want one, just let me know if you want a copy of this, but I'm just going to show my screen. Hopefully this will work this time. And we'll be able to do this right. Looks like it's going to work, guys. Looks like it's going to work. Let's see. Oh, whoops, there it is. Whoops, there it is. Okay, it's coming. So when I write a complaint, I just write at the top, just like it is right there. I just write violations. Okay, just keep it real. Here's this is what I write right here. Okay, so there's the word violations right there. Okay, so then I delve right into it. I would like a copy, please. Okay, no problem. I just got to make sure the kid's name's not in it. I don't think it is, but usually, and that's another thing. What you can do is, I have a trick. What I do sometimes, if the issues are always the same, then what you can do is you can keep one and then just use it as your template. Okay, you see it? Okay, good. So I'm just going to run through it. So the first thing I start off is I say, the parent asserts. Asserts means what you're alleging, what you're accusing them of doing. Okay, so the parent asserts that the district is forcing a team meeting to revise the IEP that has only been in effect for 6 months. The district's only reason is that according to them, it is the annual review meeting. However, the IEP was developed and signed in June of 2020, only 6 months ago. Okay. According to the idea, you can only write you can write an IEP. You can write an IEP, honest to God, guys. You can write an IEP for as long as you want, but both parties have to agree to the length of time if it's less than 6 months. Okay. I mean, if it's less than a year, because that's what you do. You have an annual review. You write annual goals. Okay. So if the school district wrote an annual goal and redevelop the IEP in 6 months, one of two things had to have happened. Either, and this has happened to me with my own niece, either the student progress so much that they surpass the IEP goals and objectives, which means the team has to get together and they have to have a team meeting to develop new goals and objectives. Okay. In Massachusetts, you have to sign the IEP. Okay. And if you don't, within 30 days, it's automatically rejected. Okay. And the school district is supposed to send the rejected IEP to the Department of Education. So that way they know how many IEPs were rejected, because then they have to write what's called the SPP. It's the plan that they have to send to the state. They have to write up a plan and they have to account for all of these IEPs. They can't just write IEPs and nobody accounts for them. So everything you guys have to remember, it's all about money. Okay. All of this is all about money for the school. They get a check. For every kid on an IEP, they get a check for that's based on the number of kids in their school. Okay. So if they're writing IEPs every 6 months, that kid, one, either surpassed the IEP goals and objective, which in this case did not. Okay. And that's not what they're saying. In the notice to the parent, they're actually saying that it's an annual review meeting. And then I have to break it down to them. In the next sentence, I write, see, in the next paragraph, the parent asserts that without her permission or consent, the school district wrote IEP goals for only 6 months. See attached. Okay, that's when I go back to you guys and I tell you all the time, line up your ducks. Okay, because the first thing, if you're writing a complaint, usually it's about the IEP not being implemented. So that's the first thing you have to put in your complaint as an evidence. That's number one, IEP. And you put the year, the start and end date of the kid's IEP. Okay. So it says a 6-month IEP is inconsistent with the state and federal regulations regarding IEP development. And then I cite the regulation. There it is right there. That's the whole regulation. Okay. That's all of it right there. 34 CFR says B. 34 CFR 300.320 says number B is transition services, beginning not later than the first IEP to be in effect when the child turns 16 or younger, if determined appropriate by the IEP team, and updated annually. I don't know what's wrong with these schools, in Massachusetts especially. They have a thing about writing IEP annual goals. They have a thing about not writing an annual IEP. It's like they're trying to hurry up and get the kid out of school. So now we have IEP goals and objectives that have not been met, and that the school district deliberately wrote an IEP that the child couldn't, it's not challenging or attainable. The kid couldn't meet a goal, and I know this kid. She could not meet this goal in her IEP, and that's not what the notice says. It's not. They're not having a semi-annual IEP meeting because the kid met all of the goals. They're having an IEP, semi-annual IEP meeting to review the IEP and then change it. Change the IEP goals and objectives to meet their needs. Okay. Heather says, I have a kid doing virtual learning and has full aid services. He gets 1 hour a day of instruction over Google Meets. He is 86 days behind and 86 days. That's a complaint waiting to happen, honey. Pay attention to this. I'm going to show you everything you just said. That little blurb right there, that's what you're asserting. And so you would write, for instance, in this right here, this is how I would write it. The parent asserts that the district is providing yada, 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 and that whole sentence. The student is doing virtual learning and has full aid services. He gets 1 hour a day of instructions over Google Meets. He is 86 days behind and failing. That's a violation. It's a denial of faith. That's what you put in the first paragraph. That's how you do it. Paula says some districts in Mass are sending DESE more live learning modules, hybrid model to DESE than students are receiving. For instance, 10 hours instead of 35 learning. You guys need to keep track of that. Okay. You need to keep track of the number of hours that they're coming on board. Then when you file against them, you can tell them, my kid got 10 hours. That's a violation. Even though these kids are getting services virtually via COVID, they still have to maintain and implement the IEP. These kids still have to be in school a certain number of days per year. I forgot what it is. I think it's 180. I'm not sure. We are. Good. What should we do? I sent a complaint to PRS. Okay. That's what you do. Just make sure you have the proof, because there's a guy over there. His name is Matthew Nixon. Okay. And Matthew Nixon thinks he's just so smart. He's about to get served. I think Matthew Nixon does the South Shore for investigations. His boss is Barry Barnett. Barry Barnett makes me sick to my stomach. If I could see him in person, I swear I'd lay him out. I just chew him a new one. So I filed a complaint, and they said that this is another school. That's who I know you've been dealing with. Exactly. Barry Barnett is a ding dong. Okay. I can't stand him. So he's made me reframe my complaint. I said that the school district did refuse to provide the parent with the records that she requested. And the school came back and said, we don't have to because it's a meeting. Okay. It's a meeting to discuss the student's IEP. Well, don't you know, there's a whole regulation for that. It's 34 CFR 300.501. And 501 says, anytime those dingbats at the school are having a meeting to discuss your kid's IEP, it's an IEP meeting, period. Look it up, 34 CFR 300.501. Oh my God, my DS is getting 3.5 hours per day academics, and then his therapist on top of it. Fight, Heather. Should we do it? No, don't do an OCR complaint. OCR is a nightmare, okay? Half the time, they're not even doing it. They're not even investigating stuff. Just go through the Department of Education. This is what I want you guys to do in Massachusetts, okay? What I want you to do in Massachusetts is I want you guys to file these complaints. And on the bottom of your complaint, you put CC to the to Linda Duos. Have you heard? Yes. It's a powerful law. Look at Michelle. Those laws are real powerful. The civil rights laws are real powerful, except you have to prove so much stuff in order to prove that they violated your kid's civil rights. Okay. And IDEA is a civil rights law. Okay. It's all about kids with disabilities. It's all about what they can get because they have a disability. It's way easier to go through IDEA regulations than it is for OCR. It's a powerful law, but you guys have to understand something. The people that are working at these agencies don't give a rat's poo-poo caca about your kid, and they certainly don't want to hear that some school district violated your kid's civil rights. They're a public school district. They get all kind of money because they don't violate laws. So no matter how powerful that law is, honey, we have laws right now that everybody and their mother is violating. We have a law that you can't bring a Confederate flag into the Capitol Hill on Capitol Hill. Look what just happened. Look at the nonsense that just happened in D.C. right now. We have laws that prohibit that kind of nonsense. Insurrection is bad. We have laws against that. Oh, dating all the way back to 1812. I don't understand. You have to. OCR has been a nightmare. OCR just got in trouble, I think it was last year or the year before, for not investigating the things they should have investigated. They got in trouble for that. They don't do their job either. We have to make them. So when they come back and they say something stupid about how they didn't find none of that going on, because what they're going to do, Michelle, is they're going to say that the school's doing the best they can. No, I don't want to hear that. Okay, I don't want to hear it. It's a denial of faith. There's actually, matter of fact, I'm gonna go find it. Let me see if I can do this one more thing. Okay, there are OSEP letters about the implementation. I'll tell you what, let me do this. There are, and I've already put them out there. There are OSEP letters. One is dated March 2020. Okay, OSEP letter that actually talks about the implementation of IDEA during COVID. Okay, They are not relieved of their obligations to educate your kid. They cannot modify your kid's IEP unless they amended it. So if your kid's IEP says your kid's supposed to have this much class, and this much class, your kid's supposed to have that class. Your kid's supposed to have this related services. So if they cut it, that's how you fight them. That's what you say. You put it in there and you say, pursuant to my kid's IEP. Okay? Sunflowers. Hello, friend. So I don't know who that is. So anyway, this is all kids, not just, it's everybody. It's everybody. This is all kids. All we're concerned about here, right here, is special ed. Okay. I know what they're doing to all kids. And if they're doing it to them, it's 10 times worse for kids. Arizona. Hey, girl. Hey, Sunflowers. Thank you for joining me. If they're doing it to regular ed kids, it's 10 times worse for special ed kids. Okay, I know what they're doing. It's a hot mess. And their excuses, they can't do it. They can't do anything. Okay, the bottom line is they can't do anything. And I've had it up to here. If you can't do your job, you need to get the hell out of the kitchen, because I'm the type of person that thinks outside of the box all the time. Okay, if I can't go A, then I try B. If I can't do B, I do C, and then I do D. And I keep doing it until I can figure it out. This is not difficult. These people are all getting a paycheck. They're all getting a paycheck. So there's no reason for them not to educate our kids. It's not, you know how many people they can have on a Zoom course, on a Zoom class? 300 at a time. 300. And it costs $14. Okay. So, and they can get a good deal. You know why? Because schools are nonprofits. Okay. They're nonprofits. So they can get all of this stuff. I don't want to hear it. They're full of it. You guys don't understand. They're lying. All of them are lying. I know it's hard. You know who it's hard, though? It's hard on your kid. Your kid with a disability. That's where it's hard on. Their job is easy. They're just supposed to show up and teach. How hard is that? You show up and teach. Is it different? Yes. But if you can't handle it and you're the teacher, we got problems. Any advice for your son? I need advice from you on 504 plan. What you need, girl? What you need, Sunflower? What you need? I got a book on it. I got a book on 504 plans. I don't like 504 plans. Just so you know, first and foremost, I have to put a disclaimer out there. I don't like 504 plans. You know why? They have no protection. You have no rights virtually. You have to prove that they discriminated against your kid, and that's virtually, like I said earlier, impossible. Okay. Hey, girl. Lee Ann. How you doing, girl? It's my girl. Okay. She's just taking names and kicking. Okay. It's hard. You know me. We have spoken a few times on the phone. Oh, we have? I don't remember. Social, emotional. I can't remember. Social, emotional. If your kid has social, emotional issues, 9 times out of 10, your kid should be on an IEP and not a 504. Schools are lazy. They don't want to put your kids on IEPs because you know why? IEPs are detailed. Okay. We'll do a session on your favorite books. Will I do a session on your favorite books? I don't know which one, honey. Communication, peers. I can't remember, Sunflower. This is my YouTube name. Okay, yeah, I know. What's your name, girl? Just give me your first name. I might remember then. I'm old, honey. I'm about to be 62 years old in a few days. In about 4 days. I'm old. Okay, so I don't have any sympathy for them. I have no pity for these schools, and I don't care nothing about how difficult life is for them. Oh, well, they have a job, okay, that apparently, according to you guys, they're barely doing. Okay, I'm one of your biggest fans, Kimberly. Kimberly, I know you. How you doing, girl? Will you a session on your favorite books for special ed parents? My favorite books? You mean like this kind right here? So you can see it. You mean that guy? Or wait. Oh, you mean this kind of special friend book? Wait, I gotta turn it. You mean like that kind? Or wait for it. Or do you mean this one? Yeah, these are all my favorite books. The diary. That's right. LOL. Thank you, Leah. Exactly. I love anything having to do with special education and the books that are out there. The Kimberly PR is your last name. Kimberly is your last name. PRUDHOM, something like that. Is that it? Yes. Show your books for state supports. For state supports. Dang, I ain't got nothing for state supports. I got stuff to support you. Yes. Okay. I remember you, girl. This is one of my favorites right here. See, I think this is the one I gave away. I did a contest and I gave this one away. This one is awesome. Okay. My books have case law in it. My book, How Do I Get My Daughters? My books have case law. My books have all of the federal regs, and they break down everything you need to know. So yes. Let's see. Jennifer says, how do I get my daughter's 1-on-1 aid back? They took her away for budget. No, they can't take away. Okay. I get migraines sometimes. Okay, look. People, an aid is a supplemental aid. So if it was in her IEP and then they took it out, or just for no, you can file a complaint. Okay. Was it in her IEP that she had a 1-to-1 aid? And then they took it away. Me too. Just love to buy high quality. I love books. Girl, it's my favorite thing. They can't cut services because of budget. Nobody cares nothing about their budget. Look, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I'm not listening. I don't want to hear none of their plights. I hear enough plights from my parents and the kids that I represent. Okay. I got kids that are going through all kind of trauma. I got kids that, they got food on their face, and some numbnut in a private school can't figure out how to teach the kid how to wipe his mouth so that he doesn't have food all over his face all the time while he's eating food. And God forbid some BCBA should do a task analysis on eating and manners. Well, step by step, put the fork in your mouth, put the fork down, chew the food, pick up the napkin, put the napkin to your mouth, wipe your mouth, put the napkin down, pick up the fork, put another. I mean, that's task analysis. It's not that hard to do, but they won't do it. So Michelle says, I have some great, but I want a great library. Girl, you need to go to LRP. Okay. I will list all of the books I have. Okay. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to list all of the books I have, the names of them. Okay. The names of the books. And I'm going to tell you where to go. LRP. I'm going to tell you where to go, and you can get them on Amazon. Okay. And if you're advocating for your kid, when you go to this other site, just say that you're the advocate. Okay. An aid from both, Lord knows they have enough money from all IEPs they created for billing purposes. Yeah, there you go. Ask them if they wrote your IEPs for billing purposes, because that's what we're trying to do in New York. They're stupid. IEP for billing purposes. I could just smack someone. Guys, anytime the school district gives you something for your kid, like an aid, you make sure that crap is in your kid's IEP. You make sure the aid is in there, because if it's not in there, you have to fight like you never had it before in your life. Okay. And what you need to do is Jennifer, you need to get, if I change your school, no. Because listen, it has to be, is it in our IEP, Jennifer? If it's not in our IEP, then no. You're going to have a hard time no matter where you go. Okay. So yeah, you're going to have a hard time no matter where you go. All right. So this is what you guys do. If your daughter needed it, how did your daughter get it? In order for your kids to get some kind of service or supplemental aid, or 1-to-1 aid is a supplemental aid. Okay. Your daughter needed that for a reason. Okay. So why did your daughter need it? So you got to write down you got to show them when they gave it to your daughter, how they gave it to your daughter, and what was the reason why they gave it to your daughter. Do you have any documentation to show that your kid was getting it and then they pulled it? Now, even if it wasn't in the IEP, if you can show, okay, you guys don't want to hear nothing about this thing. I'll go back to this in a minute. What is up? If you can show, okay, if you can show, even if it's not in the IEP, that your kid had a one-to-one aid, then you're golden, okay? I can show you how to do it. Yes, it's in her IEP, then you're even more golden. If it was in her IEP, they can't take it away. So you file a complaint, okay? You go back to the complaint, all right? The aid is a supplemental aid, okay? And so for whatever reason, they put in her IEP that they needed it. In order for them to take it away, they had to evaluate. So let me ask you a question. When they gave you the aid, was it because of what the evaluation said? If it was, then you nailed it. Okay, they can't take anything away from your kids, guys. I don't care, COVID be damned. They can't take anything away from your kid that's in your kid's IEP unless they evaluate. Right, Leanne? We're in a big fight right now, okay? Because these dingalings think that they can just take away services. Well, we don't have that possible. We write IEPs for billing purposes. And we still don't know what that means, okay? I got one-to-one with a safety concern for bolting out. Okay, good. This is what you do, girl. This is what you do. You put it in writing to them, and you put in the email, you put just what you say. My daughter received a one-to-one aid for with a safety concern for bolting and bullying. And lastly, for access to the general curriculum. Yes. And then you guys took it away because of your budget. Is that correct? I just need clarification, you tell them. You send that to the SPED director. And you tell the SPED director, okay, you tell the SPED director that your daughter needs that one-to-one aid and you don't care nothing about the budget. That's what you tell them, okay? You tell them you want it put back in her IEP or you'll file a complaint. Okay, because did they do an evaluation? If they did an evaluation and that's how you got it and that's how they developed the IEP, in order to pull it, they have to do an evaluation. And good. So you just put it in writing, just what you said to me right there. Okay, Michelle? You send an email to the SPED director. Okay, and you say to the SPED director, I just need clarification. My daughter received a one-to-one aid for safety concerns for bolting and bullying and to help her access the general curriculum. And you guys took it away because of your budget? Is that correct? Does that mean that your budget was controlling my daughter's safety concerns? Your budget was the driving force behind her bullying? Is that what you're telling me? I'm confused. Please advise. That's what you say. That's what you say. That's all you have to do. I'm telling you. When this is over, you go back and you listen to me, okay? You listen to what I said. All you have to do is write what you wrote right there. And you, before you start, you just write. I just want to get this. I need clarification. SPED director. All you have to say, and I keep saying it over and over again. So you say, I need clarification regarding this. Hey, Wendy. And you write what there, and then you refer to the budget. And she's going to come back and say, no, now, Michelle, when they took it away, do you have any documentation as to the discussion, as to how they took it away? Where is that information? How do you know they took it away for budget purposes? How do you know that? I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that the ding dong actually put that in writing, because that would be wonderful. It'd be perfect. Or it was tape recorded. That's good too. Okay. Jennifer. Yes, it's in her IEP. Okay. So both of you guys need to write what you said to me. Okay. So how do you get your daughter? How do you get your one-to-one aid back? If it was in the IEP, that's how you do it. You got to create your paper trail. Okay, that's what filing the complaint about. Remember when I just told you guys, when you're filing a complaint, you have to line up your ducks. You have to sit down with a piece of paper and you have to say, what did they do to me? How did they violate my kids' rights? Yes, honey, you're absolutely right. Michelle says these are the reasons they have to give. That's right, a one-to-one aid. So what you need to tell them is, like I said, you have to be a smart ass. Okay. And you say, so is my daughter cured? So she's not, because of your budget, my daughter is not going to have these issues anymore, right? Because if anything happens to my daughter while in the care and custody of you people, I'm handing all of this information over to the proper authorities. That's how you get them. And then they stop the nonsense. I've done that several times. I get it a lot. Okay. They're dumb. They think that that's an answer to something. So what you're telling me is my kid's only getting services if your budget can afford it. Is that what it is? So free and appropriate. So that's not free and appropriate public education. That's free and appropriate if your budget has that doesn't mean FAPE. It's not FAPE. There's no budget in the acronym FAPE. Okay. FAPE is not dependent on their budget. Okay. It's not dependent on their budget. And that's the kind of stuff you can say. So what you're telling me is my child being safe in school and my child receiving FAPE is dependent on your budget. Is that what you're telling me? I'm telling you, if you say that to them, they will lose automatically in a complaint. They will lose automatically. But first, you got to get them to say it in writing. You have to have the proof. I didn't lose, Michelle. I didn't lose. Just helping you find reasons to get the one-to-one aid back. I don't know what you're talking about. What I'm trying to tell you is what you have to do to get the one-to-one aid back. Michelle, I got this. I don't know what you're doing. What you have to do is you have to prove that your kid had it in the first place. I got a one-to-one with the safety concern for bullying and bullying. Yes. What's her name? Jennifer? The way you have to figure out why your kid had it in the first place. Michelle said she got hers because of safety concerns. That's usually why you get it. So you never lost yours. Well, because I think I'm really talking to Jennifer. If you never lost yours, Michelle, they don't have to give anything. Okay. You have to fight for it if they don't. You definitely have to fight for it. Okay. So it doesn't matter. You have to prove it. You guys never, ever, ever, if they say they're going to give you a one-to-one aid, you tell them you want it in the IEP. Period. When they pull anything that's in that IEP, if it's a service, and an aid is a service. The kids aren't running around in schools with aids. That's a service, and that's a very expensive service. That person, that's your kid, has a one-to-one aid stuck to their side all day, every day. That's like $28,000 a year for that aid. Okay? So that's very expensive. And that's why they cut it, because that's what they said. It's very expensive. Okay? So what you have to do is go find the paperwork as to when your kid got the aid, the name of your person. If you have any documentation from the aid saying that she was working for you, if you have the name of the person, you just put the name of the person in your complaint. Because guess what else you can say? She works with my kid Monday to Friday, all day, every day. And her paycheck will prove it. Her time card will prove it. That's what you tell the state. That's what you tell the state. Because we have to tell them now where to go find the information, because those lazy people at the Department of Education, actually, they're not lazy. They're trying to protect the school district. So they'll only look where you tell them to look. And even then, they won't look. Like that guy, Matthew. He said that because that was not an actual IEP meeting, that they didn't have to give back records. He was wrong on both counts. One, he was wrong under 34 CFR 300.501, in which the law says anytime they have a meeting to discuss an IEP is a team meeting. That's it. And anytime the mother wants access to the records under 34 CFR 300.613, the mother gets the records. So the school said, well, we gave her all the records all year long. That's a lie, Craig, because when we looked at the IEP, under performance criteria, under, what is it called? Student performance. That's usually in the very beginning of an IEP. In Massachusetts, it's like the 4th page is in. There's in educational settings, and then there's another page for other educational settings. Usually, that's where all of the accommodations are, okay, on those 2 pages. And it's the present level of performance. That's what it's called, Okay. So usually present level performance is where, excuse me, present level of performance will include, I'm sorry, hold on, will include present level of performance will also include how they're going to know, what are they going to use to determine that your kid has mastered the goals and objectives in the IEP they developed. What are they going to use to consider the performance criteria? What is the performance criteria? And it'll say stuff like data collection. It'll say informal assessments. Okay. It'll say a task analysis, whole bunch of stuff. Guess what the parent never got? Any of that. She got a progress report. That's not a task analysis. That's not data collection. That's words on the progress report from the person who wrote it. Data collection is how all of the data that was collected when that kid was doing that thing, that goal. Okay. Data collection is different than progress reports. And it includes progress reports. We got the progress reports. What we didn't get is the data that was collected. We didn't get any documentation regarding observations. That was another one. Observations. We didn't get, there's not, because this is why this is important. If they wrote in the IEP, whatever they write in the IEP, they got to do, period. They like to say no, they don't have to do it. But all of these books say different. Okay, everything under IDEA is based on the IEP and evaluate. Well, is based on evaluations and IEPs. Hi, Marcy. How are you? Okay, everything in the IEP is based on first the evaluations, and then everything in the IEP that came from the evaluation. It was because of the evaluations that you have an IEP that's written in a certain way. Okay, and those evaluations can't be their little old opinions. Okay, it has to be valid and reliable, technically sound instruments like the Whisk and the Whisk 5 and the Wyatt and the Bot 2 and you know, the OWL or the TOL or whatever it's called for speech and language. I mean, it's all of those assessments. Okay, that's how they develop an IEP. Every 3 years. First is an initial, and then every 3 years after that, they have to do a new one. Okay, so that being the case, whatever's in the IEP, they have to implement. It's very simple. It's like they're saying, yeah, we just went through the motions. We really don't care about that. I actually had a school tell me that it was a guide. It was a guide. The SPED director, I think it was in New York. The SPED director in New York showed me that the IEP was merely a guide. You're getting thousands of dollars for a guide? Have you lost your damn mind? You need to go read those assurances you made to the state school district, and the state needs to go read the assurances they signed and agreed to for the federal funding for special education money. Okay? Every one of these school districts getting paid. They like to say it wasn't a lot of money. I don't know what they need to implement an IEP. It's just not that hard. They have the money. If they stop paying people an exorbitant amount of money, talking about they're the cream of the crop, and the only thing they have is a bachelor's degree in education. That's not the cream of the crop. The cream of the crop is if you're a special ed teacher and you're also a BCBA. That's cream of the crop. Or if you're a regular ed teacher, okay, and you're also a special ed teacher, that's the cream of the crop. Okay? Or you're an OT that's also a PT, cream of the crop. Again, dual. Okay? Or you took training to become an what is it called? A registered behavior therapist, an RBT, okay, in ABA. Okay? So, to be clear, anything that's in the IEP, they have to implement under the law. Period. End of story. There's no in between. Now, the hearing officers would like to have you guys believe that they can play these little thingies, okay, and act like they don't know what time it is And they can change your complaint. That's why I'm telling you guys right now, when you're writing complaints, whether it's for a hearing or a state complaint, keep it this big. Okay? Don't break it doing like this thing, okay? Keep it here. Keep it right here. The more concise you are, the easier. You have to back them into a corner with your complaint. You can't give them an out, okay? Because they will use it and they will find it because they're no good. They want to get the money, but they don't want to deliver the service, okay? They all want to get paid, but your kid's not getting the service. Your kid doesn't have to have it. And then they come up with boo-hoo stories about how, it's just so difficult. Oh, COVID, this. You know what? You guys weren't doing that great before COVID. Are you kidding me with this? Literally, I am not kidding. And to God. These are the same things that I've been hearing from you guys before COVID. Go look at my previous last year, the year before last, before COVID hit, okay, before last January. You guys go look at the conversations and the videos that I had with you guys. It's the same stuff. My kid's IEP has this. He's not getting it. School says budget. Like that means something. It doesn't mean doodly squat. I'm telling you, get them to say that crap in writing. Okay? Another thing, if you go to a hearing, I can show you guys how to do a hearing. Okay? The cool thing about a hearing is, if you lose, you can end up in federal court. But let me tell you what federal court looks like. Federal court is a judicial review. You don't even go in front of a judge. Yeah, they lie. All you do is file the appeal, okay, which isn't that difficult, okay, because all you're doing is you're objecting to what the hearing officer said, and you just write it up, and you file the appeal in federal court, okay, and then the state has to send all the records, the administrative record for your hearing, over to the judge. Yeah. And then the judge will review everything to determine whether or not the hearing officer did his job. The hearing officer didn't do his job, then the judge will remand it back and tell him to fix it. And if you tell the judge somewhere in there that the hearing officer was did not act in a fair and impartial manner, the hearing officer changed your complaint, the hearing officer did all kinds of stuff, then you can argue that the hearing officer did not act appropriately in your hearing, and therefore you don't want it remanded back to him. You want the judge to just issue the damn order. Sometimes they do. They'll just issue the order due to the contentious nature of the relationship between you and the school and the judge. Okay, that's how you get them. Like I said, guys, the more you do this, the more you file for complaints, the better you get at it. I wasn't good at it at all. They used to tell me all kind of stuff. It's too confusing. She's all over the place. We don't understand what she's talking about. And it pissed me off to no end, because anybody that read my stuff knew what I was talking about. But I said, okay, let me take that with a grain of salt. Let me just think for 1 minute. Let me say, I'll agree. I'll just playing devil's advocate. I'll agree with you. It wasn't clear. So I learned how to clean it up. I took out unnecessary verbiage. I took out the reason why I was pissed, because a lot of times you could read my stuff and you say, oh, she's madder than a pit bull. Okay. You can't be that either. You have to be objective. That's why you got to stick to the facts. That's why you have to have the evidence to prove it. And you got to know what you're talking about. Okay. And that's why the books that I have come in handy, because 99% of the time they violated one of the regulations. They violated your rights. They violated your kids' rights. They denied FAPE for sure. If they violated your rights and they violated your kids' rights, they denied FAPE. Easy peasy. Always they denied FAPE. Okay? They always denied FAPE. So let me just show you like what I write. Okay? So I'm going to share this again. Let me see if it'll work. What is this? I don't know what it's doing. Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to try to share it again. Here. Share. Okay. So let's see. Share. Share the baby. I don't know why my cursor just takes so long to do this. It's so irritating. Okay, here it comes, guys. Okay, so now it says, so I'm accusing them of violating 34 CFR 300.320. B, okay? This person is 18, okay? Which means they should have already developed IEP goals and objectives to address transition, okay? And transition is a whole lot of stuff. It's community, it's recreation, it's vocational, it's higher ed, it's everything. It's daily living skills, housing, it's everything, okay? Here it is right here. Transition services, and it says what it begins at, and it says 16 and younger, if determined appropriate by the IEP team and updated annually thereafter. The IEP must include appropriate, measurable post-secondary goals, okay, based upon age-appropriate transition assessments, which I'm going to show you where to get those from, okay, related to, here it is right here, people, here it is right here, training, employment, and where appropriate, independent skills, and the transition, including course of study needed to assist the child, okay, in reaching those goals. So 34 CFR 300.320 B 320 includes transition services. You go into that regulation and you will see a whole section that says that. Okay, so if your kid is 18 or older, that's your top one right there. That's why it's the second paragraph. What is that? The second paragraph? Yes, second paragraph. So violations, that's when I cite a violation, that's what it means. You cite a violation. There it is right there. Okay, that's the violation. Okay, and then it says the parent asserts that she was told by the district that the IEP will address transitional services, as she is now 18 years old and the transitional assessment was allegedly completed in 2019, which is why the district refused the parent's request to conduct a transitional assessment. There was a whole nother issue, okay? The parent, because they filed again. This is what they do in Massachusetts. So the parent asked the school district to do a transitional assessment. She didn't ask for an IEE. These wombats in Massachusetts, because the parent requested a transitional assessment, rather than tell the parent, dude, we already did that last year. Here's a copy of it. Rather than tell the parent that, they filed for a hearing. They filed for a hearing, and then I told the parent. They said in their complaint that they already did the assessment. So I told the mother, send those wombats an email and tell them, I forgot that you did a transitional assessment. Could you send me a copy of it? And I withdraw my request. And then they withdrew their hearing. And that's why I put that in there, because I'm going after Massachusetts for the nonsense that they do all the time to these parents, filing complaints that they're not, the school district can't file a complaint like that against the parent. They can only file if the parent asks for an IEE transitional assessment. And that's not what she asked for. But they're no good. They think that's okay. Because the idiots in Massachusetts, the Department of Education, DESE is letting school districts file these complaints, and I'm all set. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to package it all up when it's safe to go back into DC. I'm going to say, ring, ring, hello. I'm going to need an appointment with the SPED director, with the state special ed office, OSEP, all of that stuff. I want, because this is nonsense. I don't understand how Massachusetts can do this. Massachusetts is in it up to here, okay, with the funding issues. Okay, so now, and then I say, the parent was not requesting an independent transitional assessment. She did not remember that the district had already conducted the assessment in 2019. Therefore, the district filed for a hearing because the parent requested. They conduct a transitional assessment instead of informing the parent that it was already completed and perhaps sending her a copy of the previous assessment. Common sense. They like to start stuff all the time for no reason. Apparently, their lawyer needs to get paid. Billing purposes. Therefore, the district filed for a hearing because the parent requested, yada, yada, yada. So then I say, here it is right here. However, This is par for the course with this school district. This is a complaint. I'm letting them know. I'm putting it in writing because this is going to the state. I mean, this is going to the feds. After this comes back, this is going to the feds. I'm letting them know what time it is, okay? So then it says, they file for a hearing over anything, and it is allowed by the Bureau of Special Education Appeals. That's what BSEA is. The BSEA in Massachusetts is the Bureau of Special Education Appeals. So then I say, the parent ultimately withdrew her request once she received the complaint and found that they had already conducted the assessment. It was then that the district withdrew their complaint. See attached. This one paragraph right here is going to get them in trouble because I'm going to prove it's harassment. That's what I'm going to do. Therefore, since the district has already completed the necessary assessments in 2019, and since the district wrote the IEP in June of 2020, which should have included the transitional information, I mean, that's what they took us to hearing for, because they said they already did it. So if you already did the transitional assessment in 2019, 6 months ago, why are we having another semi-annual IEP meeting to discuss the very thing that you took us to hearing for because you said you did it already? This is great. It's great. Okay. So I said, which should have included the transitional information. The parent asserts that the team meeting is not warranted and therefore will not attend the team meeting that the district has scheduled unless the district is admitting that the IEP developed in June does not address the student's unique needs, i.e. transitional needs. In addition, the district is refusing to provide the parent with any of the documents they intend to use to make changes to her daughter's placement and services for next year. See attached notice IP. See what I'm doing? Do you guys see all of this? See attached. Okay. See attached right here. There you go. See attached. Here it is right here. See attached. So when I go to write up my evidence page, all of this will be in there. Okay. So then I say, and this is all through this. See, I've cited the laws. Then I said what they did last year regarding the transitional assessment. I'm putting in their complaint and them withdrawing it. And then I put in the IEP. And here's the team notice. Okay. And then it says, the parent asserts that pursuant to the idea that now I'm going to get in to what the idea says about this. Okay. We're going to get into it now. So it says, the parent asserts that pursuant to the idea, the IEP is annual, not semi-annual. Semi-annual, there's 12 months in a year. Semi would be 6 months. According to the team meeting notice, it says that the team meeting is an annual review meeting. See attached. Again, see attached. Okay, here's my proof of what they did. Okay. Hi, Barbara. This is why I couldn't answer the phone. Okay. So then it says, however, the date the IEP was signed was on June 7th, 2020. See attached. There's the IEP. The date. Here we go. The date the IEP was signed was June 20th. See attached. Therefore, this is not an annual IEP at all. It is a semi-annual IEP, and a semi-annual IEP team meeting and the decision to have another team meeting for transitional purposes implies that the district did not write an annual IEP to address the student's unique needs, which is a violation. See? Do you guys see what I'm doing here? The parent requested that she needed any and all documents that were going to be reviewed by the team 48 hours before the team meeting pursuant to, and this is state law. Okay, so now I got federal law and state law in here. You got to mix it up. Okay, you got to mix it up. If you know your state laws, so when you go to file your complaint, you look up your state laws, you look at what they say. And I'm telling you, this took me a lot of years to learn how to do this. This is not something that I just said, oh, I'm just going to write this complaint. No, I didn't know where these regs were. I knew where the state regs were. I didn't know where the federal regs were. When I first started, I didn't know where the federal regs were. Okay. So the response from the district was, The meeting for Rachel is an annual review. There is no testing for this meeting. This is what they said. We will be discussing how the last year went and her progress toward her goals on her active IEP. This is what they said to the mother. They're so stupid. At the meeting, we will propose the new goals and benchmarks at the semi-annual IEP review. That's what they're going to do. The most important part of the meeting will be to discuss next year and Rachel's move to our 18 to 22 transition program. Our plan for Rachel is to have her continue with Pembroke until she meets her transition. We look forward to seeing you virtually and discussing her program. We're getting there. We want to nail them on that. The parent asserts that the district has decided that because there were no evaluations, that they do not need to provide the parent with any of the documentation, any of the documents that they intend to use during the team meeting that will determine her new goals for the next year. Okay, new goals for the next year. Not yet, Barbara. I didn't read it yet. Okay. The parent asserts that pursuant to 603, now remember, guys, I've already filed this complaint. And the ding-dong state, Matthew Nixon, came back and said that the school was not in violation because they had already given the parent what she needed, and it was not an IEP meeting, it was just a meeting. That's what he said. And that's why they escaped retribution. Okay? So then I say, the parent asserts that pursuant to 603 CMR 2805, now I'm going to put the law in, okay? That's Massachusetts special ed laws. The team process and development of the IEP. Let's see what that says, okay? Let's see what it says. Convening the team. Within 45 school working days after receipt of a parent's written consent to an initial evaluation or reevaluation, the school district shall provide an evaluation, convene a team meeting to review the evaluation data, determine whether the student requires special education, and if required, develop an IEP in accordance with state and federal laws, and provide the parent with 2 copies of the proposed IEP and proposed placement, except that the proposal of placement may be delayed according to the provisions of yada, yada, yada. Or if the team determines that the student is not eligible for special education, the school district shall send a written explanation of the finding that the student is not eligible. The evaluation assessments shall be completed within 30 school working days after receipt of the parental consent for evaluation. Summaries of such evaluations shall be completed so as to ensure their availability to parents at least 2 days prior to the team meeting. That's what state law says about a team meeting. Okay, so then I go to the next paragraph and I say, there is nothing in that law that prevents the district from providing the parent with the records 2 days prior to the team meeting unless the reason for refusing the parent's request is to limit the parent's ability to meaningfully participate as the decision-making authority for the student, and here we go with federal law, pursuant to 34 CFR 300.322, which states, public agency responsibility, general. Each public agency must take steps to ensure that one or both of the parents of a child with a disability are present at each IEP team meeting or are afforded the opportunity to participate, including information provided to parents. That's what it says, including B, information provided to parents. The parent asserts, even if the district is right, which they're not, in their interpretation of the regulation, it is a violation of the student. It is a violation of the student 34 CFR 300.613 federal law access rights, which states each participating agency must permit parents to inspect and review any educational records relating to their child that are collected, maintained, or used by the agency under this part. Okay? The agency must comply with the request without unnecessary delay, and This is federal law. And before any meeting, here it is, regarding an IEP. You see what it says? Before any meeting. What did they say up here? Before any meeting regarding the IEP. So let's go up here again. Let's see what Dimwad said. Any meeting discussing the IEP. Remember that. There is no testing for this meeting. We will be discussing how the last year went and her progress toward her goals. Her goals on her active IEP. Does that sound like we're going to be discussing a kid's IEP? Yes. At the meeting, we will propose new goals and benchmarks. That's the IEP again, right? IEP. The most important part of the meeting will be to discuss next year's move to our transition program. Really, IEP again. Our plan for her is to have her continue at the school with her transition goals or turns 22. We look forward to hearing from you. So, in their own document, they're talking about what we're going to discuss. Okay? And then down here it says, in federal law, before any meeting regarding an IEP, you got to give me the records. Or any hearing, yada, yada, yada. The parent asserts that the district's refusal to provide the documents that the school team will review and discuss at the 6-month annual review. Okay, 6-month annual review. Here I am, guys, right here. There I am. I love this video. Usually these topics are boring. You liven them up because I'm crazy. That's why. And it makes me mad. I wrote this and I'm madder now than when I actually wrote it. The parent also asserts that the district's refusal to provide the documents that the school team will review and discuss at the 6-month annual review, as they are calling it, and they admit exist and have been generated in the last 6 months. Therefore, the parent has a right to the document. This is where it is. Has a right to the document, student records, data collection, teacher assessment, and whatever else they intend to use prior, here it is again, prior to the team meeting as stipulated in the email. And it's a violation if they don't. Here we go. It's my favorite one. 504, 34 CFR here. 34 CFR 300.501. In addition to 613, okay, access to the records. Here's another one. A, opportunity to examine records. The parents of a child with a disability must be afforded in accordance with the procedures of 613 through 621, 300.6. An opportunity to inspect and review all education records with respect to the identification, evaluation, and educational placement of the child and the provision of FAPE to the child. B is parent participation in meetings. The parent of a child with a disability must be afforded an opportunity to participate in meetings with respect to the identification, evaluation, educational placement of the child, and the provision of FAPE. Really? 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 Is that in there? Are you kidding me? I didn't know that. The district is deliberately preventing the parent the right to be prepared for the meeting, to ask questions if needed, and to present additional information as a member of the team. The parent asserts, here I am right here, guys, that the meeting invitation clearly specifies that the areas that will be discussed, such as progress currently made on academic and functional future activities, yet they have denied the parent any and all documents they intend to rely upon during the team meeting. The parent asserts that this denies her the right to properly prepare for the meeting and to meaningfully participate, as she does not have any of the information for which the meeting is based. Really? Furthermore, the parent asserts that the student has not met her goals from the current IEP, as it is only 6 months old. The IEP goals and objectives were for 1 year, not 6 months. Annual means 1 year. The district is in violation of deliberately writing an IEP for 6 months, and the IEP goals and objectives are written for 1 year. So you got an IEP that expires. It ends 6 months after it was written. but the IEP goals and objectives go beyond the IEP document. Who does that? That's like them going to work, signing a contract to be a teacher for 1 year. So they're telling them that they're going to get paid for 1 year. And then the contract ends 6 months in. So do you think they're still going to get a paycheck? If they no longer work, if their contract ends, do you think they're still going to get a year's worth, 6 more months of a paycheck? No, they're not. You're done. Goodbye, Felicia. See ya. We won't be ya. That's what's going to happen. I think I'm going to put that in there. I like that analogy. It's good. I'm going to say to Matthew, who's the idiot that I have to file this again for because he's stupid. The district is in violation of deliberately writing an IEP for 6 months and the IEP goes for 1 year. Now the district intends to modify the IEP for no other reason other than they can. It's real. I keep it real all the time. The student has not completed the school year and the goals have not been met before they are to be changed. I think this is why I got to go back and read my stuff. So the kid didn't meet the goals and objectives because that's not what they said in their notice, that she met the goals. We got to modify the IEP. That's not what they said. The student has not completed the school year. The district has therefore changed the state and federal regulations regarding the timeline for developing an IEP and the timeline for which the goals and objectives will be implemented, hopefully by the student. I can't take it. The district has not presented any documentation for the need to modify the IEP at this early stage. Additionally, the parent asserts that in the district's eagerness to have this team meeting 6 months early, has neglected to include inviting the necessary human service agencies for the transition. Somebody had asked me about transition. When your kid is 18 years old, this is the one you got to look at, okay? Human service agencies for transition. This is why you have to have them. The team meeting invitation does not include any human service agencies such as DDS, which is the developmental disabilities, or Mass Rehab, which is it's Massachusetts Rehabilitative Services, okay? Therefore, the team meeting does not, and there's another one. For this student, it was DDS and the other, or Mass Rehab. But there's also mental health, the Department of Mental Health, and other agencies, Social Security, Mass Health, the health insurance, housing, anything, okay? Therefore, the team meeting does not comply with the state and federal mandates pursuant to 34 CFR 300.43. Okay, so they wrote an IEP 6 months after it was developed. They rewrote it for no reason. They said, they wrote it regarding her transition, that they told the mother they did last year in 2019. They wanted to have a team meeting just a couple of months ago because they're writing the IEP early. Okay, they're writing the IEP early. So, which means then they didn't write the IEP to include the transitional assessment, transitional services. They're admitting it. In this, they're admitting it. So they're in violation of that law, okay? Because the IEP, they're admitting that the IEP that they wrote 6 months ago, that they told the mother, took her to hearing, filed for hearing, and told the mother that we already did the transitional assessment in 2019. So if you already did what's up with this IEP then? This IEP is not calculated. Is not reasonably calculated to adjust this kid's unique need. And now you want to have a team meeting to discuss an evaluation that you're just not going to give me that I asked for anyway. I don't work for you. If the parent wants a copy of it, then you're supposed to give it to her. That's all you say. Okay, easy peasy. You just give it to her. She doesn't work for the school. She's not supposed to have a cabinet full of files because you people don't know how to do your job. You just give it to me or I'll get it another way. I'll get it to a hearing. Is that what you want? Stupid. Okay. So, the student has expressed a desire to attend college. Mass Rehab could be a resource that the school, parent, and student could obtain needed information as to how she could enroll and what is available in the area, such as Massasoit Community College. And I know for a fact they have programs for children with her issues. Okay? They don't want to do this. I don't know what's wrong with them. They acting like they're paying for college. They're not. The parent asserts that pursuant to 34. Now remember, okay? Here's the law regarding transitional services, okay? It's in all areas of functioning, okay? It's education, it's vocational, it's daily living skills, it's housing, it's everything, the transitional services. And next week, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a whole thing about transitional services. I'm going to show you this document that I have. We're going to talk about the evaluations that needed to be concluded, everything, okay? So now the next part is you're going to take what it says in 34 CFR 300.43, and the next part of that, they send you to 34 CFR 300.321. 321 says, to the extent appropriate, with the consent of the parents or a child who has reached the age of majority, which is 18, in implementing the requirements of the paragraph of this section, the public agency must invite a representative of any participating agency that is likely to be responsible for providing or paying for transition services. That's housing. That's a DAHAB program. That's the Department of Disabilities in your state. That's the Department of Mental Health in your state. That's Social Security. Because when your kid turns 18, your kid gets Social Security benefits, okay? If they're eligible for an IEP and they're eligible for state health benefits due to their disability, they're going to get Social Security. When your kid turns 18, you got to file for Social Security benefits. Transition will be great information for me to learn. I'm so excited. Yep, I got you, Kim. I can't wait. I thought I was trying to figure out which one I was going to do tonight. I was going to do it as a, I might still do it as a closed session for a fee, but the fee will be this much. But anyway, I'm going to do it because if I do it with a certain amount of people, then I can get into it better. As far as the transitional services it's a pain in the butt is what it is. And schools don't like to do it, and nobody cares what they like. They don't care nothing about what they like. Okay. It's what their job says they have to do. So these people are supposed, I actually had schools tell me, well, we can't invite them. You lost your damn minds. Don't. I bet you. How much you want to bet? I'll file for a hearing and I'll get all of these ding dongs in a hearing. And then you can tell them how you didn't call them because you couldn't. How's that? Oh, good. I'm glad you feel lucky, honey. I'm glad I can finally do this. I got Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I am so excited. I love this. And I'm glad you guys can see what I'm doing. So there's specific things they have to do when it comes to transitional services. Your kid has to be a certain age. There's certain things that have to be done. There's certain evaluations that have to be done, all kinds of stuff. And it doesn't matter. If your kid's on an IEP, they have to do it. Do you understand? They have to do it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And nobody cares about what they think, okay? Nobody. So, therefore, the goals and objectives that the school district intends to develop after only 6 months of the new IEP being in place will deny her the right to explore higher education pursuant to 34 CFR 300.43. You see what really pissed me off about what this school does is that they decided what this kid is going to do and what she's not going to do when she turns 22. And it doesn't have anything to do with them when she does. They're limiting her future ability. They're narrowing what she is able to do. Okay? Just because you have a disability. Oh, thank you, honey. Barbara, your hair looks very nice. Thank you. Just because your child has a disability doesn't mean doodly squat. I have seen things that people with disabilities have done that blows my mind. Once, okay, I'm gonna tell you a story. Once I worked because I wanted to find out what transitional services was all about, because I knew one day I'm gonna have clients that are gonna age out. So I needed to know what was available for my kids. So I went to work for this company that was a what do you call it? Oh man, I'm totally lost my train of thought. You know, the housing. It was the housing piece. Okay. It was a group home. That's the word I'm looking for. Group home. So I had to figure out what they were going to do with my kids. So we're at a meeting and I'm like, where's my kid going? So one of my kids was in a residential placement. He was diagnosed schizophrenic. I had been representing him since he was about 14 years old. There was a lot of things going on. And what did you say, Marcy? Yes, it is going through it now. Thank God, listening to you. I got transition and IEP wording, and she is thriving. Yes. See, I'm telling you, it works. It's unbelievable. When it works, it's good. Okay. Just remember, they can't take anything away unless they figure out a way how to do it through an evaluation. And then you can get an independent and get it right back in. Cool. So anyway, this kid was diagnosed. He was 18, and they finally diagnosed him with schizophrenia. I go to the team meeting, and the school district, they're closing down the school altogether. Everybody got to go. So the school comes to the meeting, and this fool looks at me and says, he'll be done in December. I said, what? Well, he's leaving in December. I said, have you lost your mind? Now, I made sure that I had the outside agencies there. That it was the Department of Mental Health was sitting at the table. I made sure they came. And so I said, what? I said, have you lost your mind? He's not. What do you think he's going? You think he's going home with his mother? You've lost your mind. He's not going home with his mother. Okay. This kid was talking. We were talking to him, and he was admitting that the guys in his head was telling him to do stuff he wasn't supposed to do. He thought this kid was going home with his mother. I said, absolutely not. He's a danger to himself and others, and you know it. I said, we're not doing none of that. So I leaned over like this, and I said, DMH. She said, yeah, Tammy. When are you going to have a home for him available? When's it going to? She said, Tammy, that's going to take at least 3 months. Good. And I looked at the school, and I said, guess what we're not doing? He's not moving. I will get a court order. Don't even push the envelope. Don't push it. He's not going anywhere, staying right here until they find him a place. What you guys need to do at the school district is this. What you guys need to do is go help them find a place for this kid, because you should have done your job a long time ago, and you didn't. So end of conversation. And he stayed there until they have a program for him in and around our area where he was, because he was way up in the middle of Massachusetts somewhere. So then we got him home, and he ended up in a group home right in the area. So he got to come home and see his, his mother and his family and everything. And then they brought him right back up to the program. And he was cool with that. I think he even had a job. But he was doing things like refusing to take his meds, which was detrimental to everybody around him, because he became very violent. He became violent when he was on the meds, and he was violent and he was a big boy. So this is why it's important to have these people at the table. Okay. And they didn't want to do it. And then they tried. And I told him, he's not going anywhere. I am not kidding. I told him. I looked him right in the face and I said, let me tell you something. I will see you in front of a judge first. Don't make me do it. We were already in front of the judge behind this kid and the school. The judge damn near ordered him to go to a private school. So therefore, I say the IEP will not be developed to address her unique needs. The parent fears that once again, she will be forced into a hearing because she will have to reject the IEP. This is that we were famous for. The parent asserts that pursuant to 603 CMR 2805, she has 3 options once an IEP is proposed to her by the district. Except this is only in Massachusetts. That I know of. It could be someplace else, but in Massachusetts, this is what the IEP actually says. Accept or reject the IEP in whole and part, request a meeting to discuss the rejected portions of the IEP or overall adequacy of the IEP, or if mutually agreed upon, accept an amended proposal and accept or reject the proposed placement. These are all your options in Massachusetts that you have as a parent. Okay. However, the Massachusetts Special Education Regulation does not inform the parent that the school district has the right, power, and authority to file against a parent for rejecting the IEP, and the district can file for a hearing seeking consent override. This is what they're infamous for doing in Massachusetts. and it's illegal. The only time they can get consent override is if the parent refuses for an initial evaluation that the district proposes or a reevaluation. Okay, that's the only time. And the only other time they can file for hearing is to defend their evaluations, and that because the parent is requesting an IEE, a public expense. So there's only 3 times they can ask. There's only 3 different ways. This school district and their attorney they do this all the time. I can almost bet that it's one attorney in the law firm in Massachusetts that's doing it. I could almost bet. I might be wrong, but I can almost bet I know who it is. Okay, so to implement a rejected IEP, and the case will be heard before a BSEA hearing officer. So then I put, contrary, here I am, guys. I'm trying to do 2 things at once here. That's why this is reading like this. Contrary to the DESE, which is the Department of Education in Massachusetts. Okay, that's what it's the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. The BSEA, which is the Bureau of Special Education Appeals. And PQ&A, which is Program Quality and Assurance, which is the state complaint process. A district can only file for a hearing under 3 circumstances, and only 2 under consent override, i.e., the parent's refusal to provide consent for an initial or a reevaluation. I just told you that. The DESE and others are allowing districts to circumvent the federal regulations to usurp the parent's rights to reject the IEP, leaving the threat of a hearing as a consequence for the parent rejecting the IEP. See what I did? I went after them. I ain't no joke. I went after them. Wait a minute. Okay. This issue has been brought before OSEP, naming all of the school districts that are using this tactics against parents to get their way. The district has a long history of threatening the parent with a hearing. And then I cited, this is the case. That's the case law. That's case law. I cited the state case that they actually did this to the parent. In that hearing, there's more. There's more than one. In that hearing, the parent was forced to sign an agreement just to get out of the hearing. However, that did not stop the hearing officer from issuing a decision that was resolved. The release signed was to absolve the district of compensatory services for speech and language that was found to be owed to the student through a 60-day state investigation by PQ&A. Okay? PQ&A issued corrective action against the school district for 18 hours of speech and language services. There will be no such agreement signed going forward with any shenanigans by the district or the SEA and their staff. I'm letting them know I'm not doing it this time. We're going to hearing. I don't care. We're going to go to hearing. The parent asserts that pursuant to 603 CMR 2805-7 says parents' response to proposed IEP and proposed placement. Immediately following the development of the IEP and within 45 school working days after receipt of the parent's written consent to an initial or reevaluation, the district shall provide the parent with 2 copies of the proposed IEP and proposed placement along with the required notice, except that the proposal of placement may be delayed according to the yada, yada, yada. No later than 30 days after receipt of the proposed IEP and proposed placement, the parent shall. This is why they can't do that. Okay? The reason why they can't take us to hearing is because of this. The parent shall accept or reject the IEP in whole or in part, request a meeting to discuss the rejection, yada, yada. I already told you this. Okay? The parent asserts that there is nothing in the state special education regulations that allows or informs the parent that if they do not accept the IEP, that the district has a right under the IDEA due process procedures to file for a hearing for consent override. The parent asserts that there is nothing in the state or federal regulations that permits a school district to file for a hearing because the parent rejected the IEP. I should put, are you cray-cray? Okay. Sunflower says, should district allow for transition service prior to denying continuing? What? They can't. Once your kid is on an IEP and your kid turns 18, they have to do it. They can't deny continuing the IEP for communication. All of that is part. I'm going to show you, okay? There's a thing called the age-appropriate Transition Toolkit. Okay, I'm gonna write it right here. I want you to look this up. Okay. Age appropriate transition. Trans. Wait a minute, trans. Transition tool. Right now, if your kid is 18 or over or getting close to being the age of majority, okay, you need that. Okay, number one, there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to go with that. You guys need that. Okay, age approach transition toolkit. Just if you use any of those words, you'll get it. Okay, you're welcome. But here's the thing, guys. There's this thing called age appropriate. The age of majority. Once your kid is close to turning 18 or your kid turns 18, what you have to do is get your kid, okay, to sign this document that you're going to help them make educational decisions. Because if you don't, your kid, or you get guardianship, which is not that difficult to get, depending on the disability that your kid has, okay? You can get it for kids who are developmentally challenged, and you can get it for kids who have serious mental health issues. And you have to go to the courts, and you can fill out the papers online. I can help you do it. I've done it before, and I get my kids. It depends on the disability. It has to be severe, okay? I mean, if your kid can take care of themselves, that's good. But if they have limits and they need help from other people, or they're in a private school, or they're in a day program, or they're in a residential school, chances are they're going to need guardian, okay, legal guardianship. Now, what you do is you go to court. I show you how to fill out the papers. You get legal guardianship, because once you get legal guardianship, you give a copy, because the judge signs it, and then you give a copy of that to the school. So now everything stays the way it is. Otherwise, they're going to be contacting your kid, who may need help making decisions due to being developmentally challenged or having other serious mental health issues. Okay? So, what am I doing? Okay. So, there's all of these different things that you have to look at. Okay? But as long as if your kid doesn't need you to be their guardian, but they're on an IEP, and it would be in their best interest if you worked with them. And so the school, if you sign the papers that you and your kid, because there's like 3 ways. Your kid will make all of the decisions. You and your kid will make the decisions together, or your kid has turned all of that responsibility over to you. Okay? Then if your kid is doing that, you're golden. If your kid doesn't need guardianship, if your kid is severe, if your kid is developmentally challenged, if your kid has problems with getting dressed and any of the functional things, the daily functioning skills that we need, there's lots of reasons why. And you can get an evaluation done, and they'll tell you that you need to go do it. Okay, you can go to a doctor, and they'll tell you, yes, you need to do it. Okay. Because if your kid doesn't, and your kid will fight you on it. If your kid fights you on it, your kid doesn't need it. Or your kid needs it, but he just needs a little bit. But what you have to do is you have to tell your kid, because this is the reason why you need guardianship for your kid. If your kid is challenged, developmentally challenged, and your kid knows what a credit card is. Okay. So your kid goes and fills out for credit cards and everything, and goes on a spending spree because some ding dong sent your kid a credit card. Your kid opened it up and went to spend it. If you have guardianship and your kid did that without your knowledge, your kid would be exempt from anything that your kid bought with that. Okay. Your kid it's not that they're exempt, but it's understood that there's a reason why you have guardianship. So you have to take precautions as their parent, okay? Because you're going to be the person that's supposed to be overseeing this. And so if your kid ends up in front of a judge, you can say, Your Honor, here's the paperwork, okay? But The judge is going to tell you something. You got to learn how to control this kid. What are you doing about this? How are you going to fix it? Make sure it doesn't happen again, blah, 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 blah. But that's a whole nother conversation. But it is part of the transition, okay? How is you and your kid, how is this going to be done, okay? Now, hypothetically, if you got guardianship, okay, because it was warranted, then you give a copy to the school, okay? And you give a copy to everybody, because now you can fill out for the services that your kid may need as an adult. Now your kid becomes an adult, but now you can fill out all of the paperwork for your kid. You have that right. Otherwise, let me tell you something. If your kid does have a disability and your kid gets sick, they're not talking to you. The doctors are not talking to you. You don't, unless your kid gives you permission, then they're not talking to you. If your kid can't give them permission, they're not talking to you. So you need paperwork for whether you're a kid. You need to go talk to a lawyer if your kid is not going to do this, because you need documentation that your kid in an emergency gave you permission to do this, this, and this, to make decisions when he can't. You need these kind of documents, okay? If your kid is turning 18, because it has to do with medical, it has to do with financial, and it has to do with housing, and it has to do with education, and it has to do with functional living skills. It has to do with everything. So if you're going to make those decisions, then your kid can put that in writing. If your kid doesn't want you to have it legally, but in the event of an emergency or something needs to be done, or you need to talk to somebody else and your kid doesn't understand what they're talking about, then your kid has made you like a proxy for them, okay? So you need to get this stuff looked at now, okay? You need to find out from you. What I would do, go through your evaluators, okay? Go to a doctor, get a neuropsychological evaluation, and you tell them, I need to know all the functioning levels. And I also need to know, do I need guardianship? Can he, and they won't say something like the parent needs to go get guardianship. They might. But what they'll say too is stuff like, he's going to need a lot of help navigating his functional daily. He's going to need a lot of help with daily living skills. He's not going to be able to live on his own and take care of himself. He's going to need help financially. He's going to need help with his finances. He should be in a group home. They might say things like that, living in a group home or day have, but they'll tell you, okay? That's what you tell them you want to know. Okay, that's what you need for a transitional assessment. You go to a neuropsych and you tell them, I need a transitional assessment. Now, what you want to do is do this before your kid turns 18. Because if your kid turns 18 and your kid is defiant and telling you, no, I don't want you to do any of that, then you're screwed, because you're not going to be able to help them. And this isn't about taking your kids' rights away. It's about making sure that they're safe and that nobody takes advantage of them, and that people around your kid know that there's other people watching, okay? Because even as adults, our kids with disabilities are targets. They're targets for way more serious stuff out in the real world than we could even think about, that we don't want to think about, okay? They can hurt somebody. The kid that I represented that was schizophrenic, I could sit down and have a conversation with him. Sometimes the people in his head would come out and talk, and I'd have to tell him, go sit down and shut up. I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to him. I don't want to talk to you. And that's how I would talk to them. I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to dude. Tell your friends to go sit down and shut up and don't touch nothing. When I want to talk to them, I'll tell them. Right now, I just want to talk to you. And he'd say, okay, Tammy, and then I could talk to him, but it's hard. It's hard. But it depends, because I have other clients that it was real easy, like, little girls. It was kind of easy to get it done, because a lot of times they're real close to their moms. They can be independent to a certain degree. Okay. But just like they're easily manipulated by you, you don't want your kid being manipulated by somebody who has, they're bad actors. You don't want that. Okay. So we got to protect our kids. So that's why we're going to talk about the transition part. The transition part for the IEP is one thing, but the other piece is the guardianship piece and your kid working with you and you guys making decisions together. And it just depends on your kid and what your kid's going to allow. I mean, I had one kid who had serious mental health issues, and he took his father's car and he drove it down the street. He doesn't have a license. He drove it down the street, and the cop pulled him. He pulled over to take a nap, and a cop pulled over, and because he had the keys in the ignition, they arrested him because they thought he was driving under the influence. So they arrested him. The mother had to go to court. Her son's 18. This is not going to end well. Okay. So you have to protect them. And believe me when I tell you, not to scare anybody, but I have to tell my parents this: just because your kid has a disability does not absolve them of the law. There's plenty of people in prison who have serious disabilities. If you stand up in front of a judge and you tell a judge that you know right from wrong, which a lot of people with disabilities know the difference between right and wrong. If you know the difference between right and wrong, you could go to prison for something that you do. So we have to protect them. And the best way to protect them is to hit the ground on it. I'm not saying everybody run out and get guardianship, because you are taking away their civil rights, their constitutional rights to a certain degree. But that's why if you do it, usually like in Massachusetts, the times that I've done it, they put the judge, once you file the papers, you do it online and you file all the papers. And then because of COVID, you do everything online. So you file the papers, you send it over to them, and then the judge makes a decision, and they'll give you a 90-day temporary guardianship. Okay. Within the 90 days, the judge will assign your kid a public defender, okay, a lawyer, to defend their rights. Now, depending on the documents that you give the doctor, because what I do is, if I'm going to do it, I get my parents and I see the need. And I've had parents tell me that. I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not helping you. We'll find a lawyer to do it because your kid doesn't need it. But if the kid does need it, then, I'll help the parent guide them through the process. So, the judge will come back and the judge will give your kid an attorney. And then what you do is you give the attorney the same paperwork, because when you file for it, you want to give everything. That's why I tell my parents, you guys got to make sure that you have evaluations that are like if your kid ages out of school at the age of 21 or 22 off of special ed, then you have to make sure that your kids' evaluations are up to date before they leave school. Okay. They can't be more than 2 years old. So you got to get them done that last year. So when they turn 20, and they're going to age out at 21, then you got to make sure you get them done when it's 20. So that means a neuropsych. You need a neuropsych, not what the school's done. You don't need an evaluation by them, because 99% of the time, your kid's not getting any of the services and they're pretending your kid is fine. Okay. Meanwhile, your kid is currently getting money or services, or they're on some state agency because of their disability. So I actually had a kid that I represented in which she was 18 years old. She was, severe. She had an IQ of 70. She was very, she was very, she could take care of herself, but she needed guidance. She needed somebody to help her. She couldn't do it by herself. No way. There's no way in hell. She'll sit in a room all day long, watch TV and watch cartoons all day long. And she was 18. So what we did is we got her evaluated. And then when she turned 18, we filled out the paperwork. We went in front of a judge, and she went in front of a judge. The judge, after the night, the judge gave it to you immediately. The judge gives you 90 days if you submit the right paperwork. The judge gave her temporary guardianship for 90 days and assigned her a lawyer. And then what I told the mother is, now you give all that paperwork that you gave the judge that made that decision. He used that evidence. He used those evaluations to make a determination as to whether or not she should have a guardian. So when she got her lawyer, we ended up talking to the lawyer, and the lawyer said, okay, yeah, I'm going to work with you. Yes, you're right. I've read the reports and yada, 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 yada. Okay. So, she went, when we went to the hearing after 90 days, there's certain stuff that we have to have, that the mother had to fill out the paperwork. They give you a whole bunch of stuff to do. You have to make sure that all of this paperwork gets done. And sometimes it has to do with getting a mental health provider to fill out the paperwork, or like in some cases, it's called a Rogers in Massachusetts. I don't know if it's called a Rogers everywhere, but in Massachusetts it's called a Rogers, and it has to do with the medication, because sometimes as an adult, these adults will, just like kids, they refuse to take their meds. They don't take their meds, all hell breaks loose. So in the event they refuse to take their meds, if you have what's called a Rogers, if they pick your kid up because of your kid flipping out and losing it, and they bring them to crisis, with the Rogers, they can force the medication, which will bring them right back down. Okay. There was a person with intellectual disability to bend to death the other night. I'm not sure. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure what crime he did. Oh, he was put to death. But he was put to death by lethal injection. I thought lethal was not. I know. No. I think Biden, one of the things is he's going to stop all executions. So, yeah, that's one of the things when he gets in office. He's immediately, first day, tomorrow, stops all executions immediately. And that's what I'm talking about right there, Barbara. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody was there to protect him. And what happens is a lot of times, if we don't have these kinds of safeguards for our kids, this is what could happen. Okay, so you want to be able to put these things in place before your kid leaves school. And you got to force the school to. Now, the other thing about the transition piece is, the goal of the transition piece is to see, let's look at it like this. So let's say the judge gives you guardianship. You're 50 years old. Your kid is 20 years younger than you. So when your kid is, you're 50. When you're 60, your kid is going to be 40. When you're 70, your kid is going to be 50. So, at a certain point in time, this is going to be difficult for you. So the transition piece is all about helping your kid to be as independent from you as possible. So the goal is to teach your kid functional skills, like to teach them how to make sandwiches, to teach them how to wash their clothes, to teach them how to set the table, to teach them how to eat balanced meals, okay? To teach them how to spend money, to teach them to wait for change, okay? So these are some of the things that we look at when we're writing transitional goals, okay? How to order food in a restaurant, how to go to the bathroom safely, okay? The bathroom is one of my worst fears with kids, with people with disabilities, is because there were people in those bathrooms that are just waiting for somebody like your kid to come in, because they're no good. The evil. These are the things, how to give that. They came up with this new thing. This is not nice, but it's called a tile. And what it does is you connect it, you link it to your phone. And whatever you put it on, when you hit the button, like if you link it to your phone, you have one on your keys, you put one on your key, you put another one, you put the app on your phone. And whenever you lose something, so you can put one on your keys. Okay, so if you lose your keys, I lose everything. You hit the button, you find your keys. Okay, it's like calling your cell phone when you can't find it. I do that all the time too. So they're called tiles. I love them. You get 2 for $47. Okay, I just told my sister, I said, we're going to get one. I'm going to put one on my keychain. And then the app's going to be on my phone. And then I'm going to give my mother the other one. I'm going to make it into a necklace. Every time we go into Walmart, we lose the chick. She's 82 years old. Can't find her anywhere. So I'm getting it for her. But this is cool things to give our kids. Like a lot of, one of my clients, she uses a pocketbook. She has everything in it. There's certain things that they like. And they got to have it with them all the time. It could be a keychain. It could be something around their neck. That's the thing you put it on. Okay, that's the thing. You don't put it on their clothes because they change clothes and you lose it. But this is what we can do. And that way we can find them. We know, so that they know it's like you can hit a panic button. It's almost like a panic button. Come get me. Okay. There's lots of things we can do that's out there for our kids to protect them. And that's what the transition piece is all about. That's why I got so heated when they did this thing to this kid. So getting back to this. So that's my spiel for right now. That's just giving you a heads up on what the transition piece is. It's way deeper than this. Okay. Way. So I go on to state in this that the district did it again. Okay. So up here, I'm saying that the school, where is it? Up here, I'm saying that the school district, see this right here? CBSDA 1708161. Okay. This is what I'm talking about, how the district filed for hearing because the parent rejected the IEP. You can't file for hearing. There's no grounds because under the law, you have to cite a violation of the idea. There's nothing under the idea that says the parent must sign the IEP. And if the parent doesn't, then the parent will go to hearing. And the school district can get consent override to implement the IEP that the parent rejected, which means the parent doesn't have a choice. That's what they're saying. Okay. So that's wrong. They can't do that. So then I do it down here and I go, okay, where is it? Parent. Okay. So then here it is right here. It says, the district did it again with the BSEA 2102934. And this was filed after Jessica DiLorenzo, Pembroke Special Ed Director, that's who she is, made the threat of a hearing and followed through because the parent was refusing to accept the IEP in June 2020. This is the IEP we're talking about. As soon as the parent accepted the IEP, the district withdrew their due process complaint. See attached. See, that's 2 now. Okay. These are the issues. In this instance, the district filed for a hearing because the parent requested a transitional assessment to be conducted by the district. They did it 3 times, actually. The parent never requested an IEE, and therefore the district had no right to file for a hearing under 34 CFR 300.502. That's the IEE regulation. If the district does an evaluation, then the parent can request an IEE. Then the district has, without undue delay, a certain amount of time to file for a hearing to defend their evaluations against the parent's request for an IEE at public expense. The parent never requested an IEP, and therefore the district had no right to file for a hearing under 502. The district is using the BSEA, the Bureau of Special Education Appeals, as a weapon against parents across the state, and I have many more cases that will support this. And all have been forwarded to OSEP for review, Office of Special Education Programs. I'm setting the stage because if I have to go to hearing on this complaint, it's already written. That's another trick I'm going to show you. When you write your complaints, you set them up so that you can just switch out the paperwork on the top. So instead of it being a complaint, now you switch it in and you drop in, you take out the complaint paperwork and you put on top of this same complaint. You turn it into a hearing. Then you don't have to write 2. Okay, you don't have to write 2. The parent is requesting that PQ&A investigate the district's behavior of threatening a parent into accepting the IEP and the BSEA allowing the hearing to move forward even though the complaint does not comply with 34 CFR 300.507. This law right here says that the district, as the district's complaints do not cite a violation of the idea. That's what 507 says. You have to cite a violation of the idea. The parent asserts that pursuant to the IEP in Massachusetts, the parent has the right to accept the IEP in whole, or reject the IEP. See attached IEP. I'll do this. See attached. You see, I'm writing up my evidence list. However, the IEP the district uses does not inform the parent that if the parent rejects the IEP, that the school district will file for a hearing with the BSEA. The parent asserts that the two BSEA hearings listed above did not include a citation of a violation of the idea pursuant to 507. So now I have first started with a semi-annual IEP, and now I'm filing against them because they're filing hearings without citing a violation of the law. Okay, and the state is allowing it. and therefore should have been dismissed by the BSEA. Instead, the BSEA, the Bureau of Special Education Appeals, in both matters moved the cases forward as if there were legal issues that could be remedied by a hearing officer. There was no hearing officer couldn't fix that. The parent asserts that pursuant to the dispute resolution memorandum, that's a very important document, guys. You all need to get it if you're filing complaints or hearings or whatever, okay? If you're in mediation, anything to do with dispute resolution, this memorandum is so important for how you do it. It answers a lot of questions, okay? I'll do one on that too. And OSEP cites it a lot. The dispute resolution memorandum is written by OSEP, and it says that the SEA must investigate themselves in the same manner as they will investigate a school district. Yes, it does. Okay. The parent fears that the district will retaliate against her and file a bogus due process hearing to stop this investigation. There's a memo on that. Okay, and here it is. I forgot to put it in it. Okay. Which OSEP has addressed in a Dear Colleague letter, which I'm going to tell you about that too, which states in part, watch this. This is so bad. It has come to our attention that some public agencies may be filing due process complaints concerning the same issue that is the subject of an ongoing state complaint resolution, ostensibly to delay the state complaint process and force parents to participate in or ignore at considerable risk due process complaints and hearings. Increased costs and a potentially more adversarial and lengthy dispute resolution process are not in the best interest of children with disabilities and their families. Therefore, the Office of Special Education and Rehab Services in the U.S. Department of Education issues this letter to provide guidance that states, hearing officers, school districts, and school staff, parents, and other stakeholders may find helpful in determining how to follow the IDEA dispute resolution procedures. Yeah, and see down here, guys, right around here, this is the footnote. This is where I got it from, okay? So this right here, you make this a footnote, okay? So up here, see that one? See that right there? That's a footnote. When you make a footnote, which is up here under, you click under references, see? Right. Of course, nothing's going to work. And what happens is this thing right here, see it? See, it says AB with the one that says insert footnote. That's what when you're typing it, that's what you would do. It's not highlighted because it's already typed. It's already done. Okay. And then what it'll do, this document right here, you go to the website and you copy exactly what it is and you cut and paste it and you put it on the bottom of your complaint. Okay. And you put where you got it from. And then all they have to do is click on it. Okay. So all they have to do is click on it. See what it says? Memo, Q&A. Okay. Says the parent fears that PQ&A and others will allow the school district to file for a hearing, even though it does not meet the federal requirements in citing a violation of federal IDEA regulations. Okay. The parent has been informed that in the event the district feels the need to use intimidation and scare tactics to force the parent into an expensive hearing that she will counter, and she has the right to go back 2 years. Her complaint will include all of the above issues and all who were involved. The parent expects that all of her allegations against the school district are investigated to the fullest extent of 34 CFR 300-151 through 153. The parent expects that PQ&A will investigate the necessary parties, even parties under the DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, the BSEA, the Bureau of Special Education Appeals, and PQ&A, Program Quality Assurance, which is the state complaint department, as it relates to the issues reported above. Please be advised that the complaint and all of the evidence and the findings are being forwarded to OSEP, the Office of Special Education Programs. They are the people that monitor the implementation of the IDEA for each state. The states, the Departments of Education, the SEA, are supposed to be monitoring the school districts to make sure they're implementing and following procedures under the IDEA. The reason why that's important is because the Office of Special Education Programs are the entity that hold the purse strings for the special education money. Massachusetts has already been contacted by OSEP regarding their practices and the possibility of losing all of their money. It's in an audit. And I'll go over that audit one day. It's a Massachusetts audit done by the Office of Inspector General on Massachusetts. It's not pretty. Okay. Here's the remedy. Remember I told you guys, you always have to have a remedy. This is what you're going to ask them. This is what you're going to tell them you want. In the event, everything they found, you were right. Okay. The parent is seeking copies of any and all documents that the team intends to use during the discussion to make decisions as to the student's next steps. The parent is seeking any and all data, progress reports, report cards, IEP, or other information that is going to be used at this meeting to modify the current IEP. The parent is seeking that the school district must modify the IEP to reflect an annual IEP date rather than 6-month date. The IEP must expire in June of 2021, rather December 2020. The parent is seeking corrective action that the team meeting must be an annual team meeting, which would be 1 year from the date the IEP was developed. Therefore, this IEP meeting must be rescheduled to reflect the annual IEP review meeting pursuant to the new IEP annual dates. The parent is seeking corrective action that the district must be trained in developing an IEP that includes annual IEP dates rather than 6 months. The parent is seeking corrective action that the school district is ordered to provide any and all documents pursuant to the parent's request 48 hours before the team meeting. The parent is seeking corrective action that the district is trained in all of the regulations that must be implemented regarding the parent's rights to records 48 hours before the team meeting. The parent is seeking corrective action to include training to ensure that at no time can the school district file a due process complaint because the parent rejected the IEP or that PQ&A find that Massachusetts regulations are not in compliance with the federal ID regulations. See all the footnotes? Footnotes are a wonderful thing, people. Add them. Or that PQ&A inform the parent that the district has a right to file against the parent for rejecting the IEP and seeking consent override to force the acceptance of the IEP. That includes findings of fact and state and federal regulations to support the PQ&A findings. You see, I backed them into a corner. I can't stand them. Can't stand them. And they're not going to do any of this. But if you read this, I got a hearing waiting to happen. The parent is seeking a letter from PQ&A and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to all school districts in the state of Massachusetts that school districts cannot use special education due process seeking consent override because a parent rejected an IEP, and that any such due process complaint will be rejected by the BSEA. And then I put the person's name, Reese Ehrlichman, BSEA director, or any other director of the BSEA, or providing findings of fact and the federal and state laws that support the district's right to use due process to override parents' right to reject an IEP. The parent is seeking corrective action to include any training and any and all violations that were found by PQ&A for all of the parties, including all of the Pembroke Public School administrators, psychologists, team chairs, yada, yada, yada. I name everybody. I don't care. In the event DESC and PQ find that the school district can use special education due process to seek consent override because the parent rejected the IEP, then the parent is seeking a written document of the right of the district to file such a claim in a due process hearing to be added to the IEP on the page where the parent makes a decision as to accepting, rejecting, or rejecting in part. The parent has a right to be informed of the district's right to file such a claim and force the parent into due process. Please remember that the district is using state and federal tax funds to invent such a process that hurts the student and denies the parent's right to meaningfully participate in special ed due process. And then I just keep going. The parent is seeking yada, yada corrective action. The parent is seeking copies and information. The parent is seeking special education guidance, yada, yada, yada. For the record, I now have 4 school districts that are using this tactic. Norwell has just been added to the list. How many schools are needed to stop the nonsense? Please do a thorough and complete investigation that would make your mother proud. You know, because I'm bad that way. I can't help it. I can't help it. So that's how you write a complaint. Okay. You put in the necessary things. Okay. You got to put in what the facts. Nothing but the facts. Every now and then, because I've been doing it for so long, I got to. Every now and then, you got to give them a little zinger, okay? But you don't make a big deal about it. You just slide it. Okay? So that's what we do. That's how you do the complaint. Okay? Now, what you have to do is you have to go to your website, your Department of Education website, and you have to get the form. Now, in Massachusetts, they just started a new way. You can actually, if you get all your paperwork together, okay, you put it in one file or several, and you can upload it to their site. And when you send it, it goes to everybody. Okay, you put in, you fill out all the necessary stuff, and it will go to everybody. Okay, you like that, Barbara? I got you, girl. So, and if you write it right, it will be an easy segue right into a complaint, a due process hearing, which one day we're going to have a lot of discussion about a due process hearing, which is not fun at all. But they're pushing it. So this is what we have to do, guys. Okay. So that's how I write my complaints. Okay. So and then like after I finish it, what I do is I have a whole page. So all of those documents that I said, see attached, I go back in there and I make sure I have all of those documents. And then just to make sure that I know what I sent them as evidence, I make a list of it. It says evidence. If you look at that thing that I did for you guys, coupled with this, you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about now. You make another page that's added to this complaint and you write evidence across the top, a blank page, and you write evidence, and then you go through all of your evidence, okay? And you list all of those things that you wrote see attached to, okay? Now, some of the stuff might be the dispute resolution memorandum, which I've given you guys a number of times, okay? Let me see if I can find it again, and I'll give you guys the link. I just don't understand this Norton thing. Is just driving me batty. I'm going to give you guys a dispute resolution memorandum written by OSEP. OSEP. I'm going to give you the link and you guys go there. I'm also going to give you the link to the age appropriate toolkit. Okay. What happened? You guys still there? The email I sent to Sped Director. I checked her. That's my girl. That's my girl. Of course you checked her nuts at the door. That's what you got to do. Because she's cray-cray. Hopefully I'll get that out this week. Where is it? Not that. Where is it? Okay, here it is. This thing here, you guys need to read it really good. It's so damn good. It's disgusting. It's really, really good. Okay. So I'm just going to give you the link. Let me see if I can just pull it up right here. Okay, I'm going to put it here. Okay. Okay, so that's the dispute resolution memorandum. Okay. Link above is the dispute resolution memorandum. Okay, you definitely need that. Okay, and now, and I'm gonna put it in the link below on my YouTube channel. Okay, so when you go to look up this thing again, this special education, it'll be under the right topic. I'm going to add links at the end so you guys can go look at certain videos. And please, 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 like and subscribe for my YouTube channels, and actually follow for my special ed people. My Facebook people. Please spread the word. I really need as much help as you guys can get. I'm going to try my best to do this all the time, as often as I can. And because I think it really helps us out together. Hope you guys like what I did, but I don't know. I think I lost some of you, but it's okay. Let me see, what's the other one? There's that one, and then there's the age appropriate toolkit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the bottom of my YouTube channel, these links for these two things. They're very, very important for you guys. If you have transition, age appropriate. There it is. Now, this is a downloadable, both of these things are downloadable links. They're PDF files, and they're really, really cool. Okay, so just get it. It's just wonderful. I like, okay. That's not what I want. This is it. Then I'm going to sign off, guys. I think I bored you enough. That's not it. That's not it. Okay, guys, I can't find that right now, but what I'll do is I will, what is it? N-S-T. Okay. I'm going to have to find it and I will send it. I'm going to find it and I'll send it to you guys. We need to talk. I have a few guys. Wendy, you keep telling me you need to talk. Are you home? Are you home now? Wendy, I'm going to beat you. Hope you're okay. Yes, you can call me tomorrow. I'll be home all day. Okay. You want my number? You want my number? Do you have it? Okay. I'll be home all day. So just give me a buzz. Okay. Or inbox me on Facebook. My phone's right next to me. Yes. Okay, good. Then call me. I'll beat you. All right, guys. I got to go. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to figure out how to do the shows for the trainings for a small group at a time. So as soon as I figure that out, I'll put it out there for everybody to come and look at it, and then we'll take it from there. Okay. I hope you guys stay safe and go watch the inauguration. If you're for him, if you're not, I'm sorry to hear that. We need somebody in there like this. And so anyway, I'm real happy. Sorry you're not, but I'm real happy. So call me tomorrow and let me know what's going on. And if you hear anything, Wendy, if you guys have anything to say, just inbox me. I usually look at my inboxes, my messages, or text me. 717-387-3726. And please, please, please subscribe to my channels. I really appreciate all your help, and just, like and follow. I love you guys. I'll see you next Tuesday, okay? Well, maybe sooner. Who knows? All right. Love you. Mwah. Kisses.